Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Fellowship of Spirit Zoom meeting in Farmington, New Mexico for the 16th of May, 2021. We're really glad that you're here with us today and hope that you enjoy our service. And I don't know, uh, Mike is not here. I didn't make arrangements for music. Does anyone have any music that they would like to share with us today? We may be musicless. Well, sometimes that happens. We are going to have Mark Wolf all the way from Kentucky to speak to us. And today is a beautiful sunny day here in San Juan County, and we're just enjoying it. It's going to be about probably, I don't know, between 75 and 80 degrees, and hopefully if the wind doesn't blow, it's going to be a beautiful day. And even if it does blow, we're going to say it's going to be a beautiful day.
I brought my glasses if you want me to
Uh,
It's totally up to you.
if you're
I get
prepared.
Wonderful idea.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we're doing the service. So yeah, hi, how are you, Sue? Good.
Congratulations on being on.
Yes.
So far.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Any major glitches?
Well, right now we have to close on Sundays because we don't have enough cooks.
Yeah.
And they work 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And until I get more cooks, we've got to give them a day off.
So you can't see her, but Sue McMullen just came in, and Steve was asking her about her recent reopening of her restaurant, and she was telling us that she can't open on Sundays because she doesn't have the staff. Is that correct, Sue? But other than that, everything is back together, and I haven't been in there, but I'm sure that it got restored back to its original beauty, right? All right, that's great. We're glad that you're here. We hope that Bill going to come be here in just a little while. That's great.
So this is
Okay.
Joyce. Wait, this is Joyce. I want to tell Sue that I went there the other night and it was just delightful. I loved the fried zucchini. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
You can't hear me? I always have that with that. Anyway, tell Sue she did good.
Yeah. Well, she can hear you, Joyce.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. We had a mixture of 3 things and we all shared them, and it was all really good. And it was busy, absolutely full. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that's great. And a lot of the restrictions have been lifted. And so that if you get an opportunity to go to Clancy's and show support for Sue by enjoying some of their wonderful food and their new remodeled thing. It was not planned, but the result was good. They had a fire some months ago, and they had to redo the entire inside of their whole restaurant, and they were shut down for, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months that they were shut down, and didn't make a dime during that time, but I'm sure they put out a lot of money. But they'll recoup it, and they got a remodel job out of it, and it's all the end result. The process was not good, but the end result is going to be wonderful. So that's great. Yeah. So as far as for announcements, do you have anything, Jerry?
Board meeting after this.
There is a board meeting after the service.
Then we have a couple of things to do.
Yeah, it's not gonna be long, but you can attend through Zoom or in person.
And there will be information coming out for the solstice program, solstice brief meeting at Kiwanis Park on the 21st of June.
Okay. Yeah. We will be discussing the upcoming solstice celebration at the Kiwanis Park. It's going to be in June 21st. Okay. I have a little announcement. Many of you have prayed and knew about my sister being sick, and I want to thank you for that. But what I want you to know is that she is finally healed. She passed away, transitioned last Wednesday night, and her body was beyond repair and totally uninhabitable. And she took the opportunity to leave after many years of struggling with lupus, and it was just lupus is a disease that is horrible. It's your body is eating itself, and she found out her esophagus had died, her stomach had died, and we don't know what else. But I'm not going to bore you with all the details. But her last, probably at least the last 5 years have been a real struggle for her, and so she is now in a brand new body on the other side, and she's enjoying herself. And but we are left to, those of us that knew her are, we're going to miss not being able to talk to her and and to touch and hug her. She has two children. She lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and our two children are well, one lives in East Texas and the other one lives there in Baton Rouge. And so you might want to send them some loving thoughts because it's really difficult for them as her mother's the only family that lived around there, but they will be fine. They are well-adjusted individuals who are adults, and they will be fine. But it's always difficult to lose someone we love, even though we know that they're in a better place. So anyway, thank you for all of your prayers and good times that you have given me during that time. Cynthia, will you open us up by offering a prayer?
Absolutely. Dear Father, Mother God, we are so grateful for our lives, and we are especially thankful for our church and our fellowship on Zoom and in person in our sanctuary now. Bless our congregation, our families, and of course our pets, and surround our loved ones in the white light of your Holy Spirit. In Christ consciousness, so mote it be, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. So, would you like to sing a song? Play a song on the. Okay, so impromptu and totally without any prior knowledge, Margaret showed up and she is going to play some music for us at this time.
About there is joy in my heart.
There's joy in my heart.
We all know that one.
Okay.
Oh, this piano loves Margaret. That's what it says.
Oh. How about that?
Are they going to hear me?
Yes, they're going to hear you from there.
Oh, okay. I'll do an intro here.
Okay, here we go. I folded over. It's over.
Hit this arrow, please.
Why?
So I can see what I'm.
Ready to start?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Margaret. Yay.
Thank you, Margaret. Trying to follow the directions of my director here.
Trying to do the job.
Yeah. Okay.
Double click on viewer, or pardon me, speaker.
I'm on speaker view, Steve.
Oh, no. Where's your finger? There you go. Now I got it.
So
Statement of
what
faith.
happened?
works good,
Yeah,
too.
there we go. All right. So here we are, all back organized, and everybody's face is shining. So now we need a spiritual reading from Jenny. Jenny, are you ready to
Actually-
do that? Thank you.
Now we need the statement of faith, and then I'll do the reading.
Love produces a flow of energy that I now feel. I love others more than ever, and I feel privileged to be here. Love flows from from one person to another as we create an atmosphere of holiness, and so it is. Now, Jenny.
Thank you. Okay. I get insanely joyful during the month of May, but it lasts all spring anyway. And so this one I just really love. And of course, well, I shouldn't say of course.
Double click on
I haven't done this in a long time, but this is from
it. You can see her
the
up
Wamoon book, which is poetry and art. And it focuses on the moon and the feminine principle. So here it is.
here. Look at the screen.
You strong one, your roots go deep.
That screen is the same as this screen.
Ron,
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Ron, you need to mute.
It's no longer.
Think.
She's now out.
Thank you. I'll start over. You strong one, your roots go deep. Remember this. Remember to glory in your roots. Trace along them. Let them drink and grow. You are one with the earth. Stretch from the ground you stand on. Grow from your oneness with what birthed you. That imperturbable, joyful, abundant, fierce earth. The legacy of the creatures we have always been. At the heart of our wildness is a deep calm, such an authentic reverence, the wonder of being exactly what we are. At the heart of all of our beauty is something implacably committed, something born of the dance of earthquakes and shaken by nothing. Love is the most radiant, transformative, intensive force that drives life. Life is asking us to truly fall in love, to show up with the unapologetic, fearsome tenderness of every formidable being that ever fought to nourish and protect what it cherishes, to become formidably loving through earthquakes and tenderness. What are the roots of your beauty? What is the foundation of your joy? What is the wellspring of your strength? How will you build your capacity for the love of this life and this world? Amen. So be it.
Thank you, Jenny. There we go. Now I've figured out how to get it onto the speaker view. Double click on that one. Okay, today we have Mark Wolf all the way from Kentucky to speak with us, and I'm looking for Mark's bio, and I obviously don't have it.
Fly him out here, too.
Pardon?
It was expensive to fly him out here, too.
No, but it didn't cost that much. But anyway, Mark, as most of us know, is a cherished member of our fellowship who has moved far away, and through the magic of Zoom, he is able to be with us and to share his wisdom with us and his experience. He has got credentials that would take the rest of the time to be able to expand. He's always has a good message. So I'm going to be quiet and let Mark give us our message today. Thank you, Mark. Let's welcome Mark Wolf.
Oh, thanks. That's very nice. I'm not muted, right? Okay. So good morning, everybody. And thank you for asking me to be your speaker this morning. And I understood that your scheduled speaker was not able to be with you, so I'm happy I was able to fill in. Okay, how about that? So anyway, I want to share with you some things that I have not shared with you before. And the first thing is I want to tell you how much I'm blessed by being able to be your speaker. Because the way it works these days is I get a text message from Jerry asking me if I can be a speaker on a particular day. And when I get the message, the first thing I do is I say yes. The second thing I do is I say, please, the light of God, I need the Sunday message for Fellowship of Spirit on such and such a date. And sometimes the message appears in my mind and it's already complete. And I just jot it down. And sometimes the message appears as ideas and within a couple of days, and I add some examples and organize the ideas and jot it down. And sometimes the message keeps me awake and it keeps spinning and spinning. I keep hearing it in my mind and I say, okay, well, if this is what's going on, I'm going to get a text message from Jerry here in 2 or 3 days. And other times I have no idea at all. And so I get a tablet of yellow paper and I write good morning across the top of it. And the message comes about 1 word at a time, a little faster than I can jot it down. But regardless of how it comes, the point of it is that it always helps me so very much to be clear about my own beliefs, my own consciousness, and even more so about my experience within that consciousness. And so to share this with you on Sunday is always a healing and elevating experience for me. And I wanted you to know that. And then my intent then is to share that healing and elevation with all of you. So, well, speaking of healing and elevation, I want to tell you something that I have not shared with you before. I have been blessed to receive an amazing light. I have been blessed to receive an elevation and a healing, which occurred on the new moon right after Easter. What I experienced was something greater than anything I had ever experienced before. I understood my spiritual path. I understood the purpose of every person I had ever met. I understood the purpose of every event that I had ever experienced. Everything became clear to me. And questions that I asked years ago were answered with clarity. And I saw how everything had been leading up to that moment on the new moon following Easter, that everything before that had literally been just practice. Everything made sense. Everybody, every event, everything made sense. And I cried because I was overwhelmed and the pain and the frustration were taken away. And I was overwhelmed with love. And I laughed because it was all of it, everything had been like a play on a stage. And the play was over. It was over. And the house lights came up and the actors took off their masks. Everybody had simply been wearing a mask. There were quite a few masks that were liars. And there were some masks that were cheaters, and there were masks that were bullies, and some wore masks, quite a few, who were betrayers. But they were all just masks, and it was all okay. And on the new moon after Easter, which actually is the first day of the Hebrew month of Iyar, and all the masks came off, the lights came up, and we all knew each other. And it was all right, and we were all friends. Friends wearing masks on a stage, acting in a play of darkness and light, a play that I wrote, a story of extraordinary tragedy and loss and extraordinary triumph. And so today I want to tell you a story about bringing darkness to light. I'm not able to tell you the whole story of that experience yet because it's still too new. I'm still sorting it out. But the most important thing right now is darkness to light. The most important thing right now is how to turn the darkness inside out. Because when we turn the darkness inside out, all there is light. All there is love. And all that's left is a blessing. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago, I was watching this show. It was a show about UFOs. It should have been interesting, and it wasn't. I didn't even watch all of it. I got tired of it. It was sort of like the ancient aliens thing, you know. And anyway, they said, okay, so why is it that the God of the Old Testament and the God of the New Testament are so different? Well, he says, well, was God an alien? Ancient Alien says yes. You know, it was that kind of thing. I've heard this before. Said the God of the New Testament is all about love, and the God of the Old Testament is all about war and animal sacrifices. And what's up with all that? Well, let's take a look. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in Exodus. I mean, where else? You know, Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. And I'm in the King James Version as usual, and it says, "The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name." I said, okay. The Lord is a man of war. Well, that's a very powerful statement, and it's actually a very disturbing statement. And before you say that, well, you know, it's been translated so many times, it's probably just a bad translation. Let me assure you, it is not. It is not. It is a very accurate translation. In Hebrew, it says, Adonai ish milchama, Adonai shemo. All right? Adonai ish milchama. The Lord is a man of war. Adonai shemo. The Lord is his name. And I suspect that this has been used to justify war for about the last 3,500 years or so. But what does it mean? Okay, it's an astounding statement. But what does it mean? What does it have to do with darkness to light? And then the animal sacrifices. I mean, what's up with that? Seriously. Bring me 2 lambs. Bring me 2 more. And while you're at it, bring me a goat and a ram and a couple of bulls and bring me some more lambs. You know, seriously, what's up with all of that? But look, it's very simple. It's very simple. There is war. All right? Say it again. There is war. But I don't mean the war out there, okay? One nation rising against another nation, or one tribe, God forbid, slaughtering and enslaving another, or one country invading its neighbor, or lobbing rockets back and forth. I don't mean that. What I mean is that every war that we see on the news being fought out there anywhere is a result of failure to fight the true war that is within. Okay? Conflict breaks out between groups of people when the true inner war is not being waged. Now, the question becomes, what is the true inner war? It is the war within us, the war of consciousness, the war of light against darkness. The inner war is the war between light and darkness within our own consciousness. Now, in many contemporary spiritual teachings, this fact of our spiritual life is ignored because it's not very pretty, and it's not very nice, and it's not politically correct. And it's plastered over with affirmations and platitudes. Because see, here's the thing. Listen, here's the thing. We can affirm, peace reigns supreme within me. And that's fine, but the real affirmation needs to be that peace reigns supreme within me because I am supremely confident that I am victorious over the darkness within. And we can affirm, within me are only love and light. And that's fine, but our understanding needs to be that the love and the light within me are more than enough to identify and defeat the darkness of my ego. Now, we know this. We know this, we feel this, we have an intuition about this. And so it's woven into our folklore. And we'll get to that in a minute. But first, who are the actors in the play? It's a play of light and dark on a stage. Well, the light within us is the light within us. It is God. It is the divine spark. It is the Christ consciousness, the divine spirit, the Holy Spirit, the light within us. And the darkness within us is our ego. Okay, very simple, very simple. Our ego wears the mask of arrogance and victim, of being proud and being afraid, of being rude and angry, as well as being small and powerless. Our ego says, my greatness, my wisdom, my money, my power, my way, my pain. It's all about me. Ego tells us that we're the greatest and the best and the most amazing and the smartest. And then it turns around. It turns around and changes color. And it tells us we're the worst, the stupidest, could have done so much better than that. Until we hate ourselves and because we believe ourselves to be small and useless and powerless. And it's no wonder that we end up being tired and depressed and addicted. Because we cannot come to inner peace or victory over the addiction, over the darkness, because the voice of ego is jerking us back and forth, decade after decade. You're great, you're wonderful. Oh, you're so stupid. And we react and we go back and forth and back and forth. It makes, seriously. And particularly when, here's the thing, particularly when the light within us seems so small. And you remember the still small voice. The still small voice comes from the book of 1 Kings in chapter 19. It says, oh, there was a wind, an earthquake, and a fire. But after the fire, a still small voice. And it's always the smallest, it's always the weakest, the youngest who defeats the darkness. Because we know this, no amount of darkness has power over even the tiniest candle. Now, talk about folklore. Who defeated the Wicked Witch of the West? It was Dorothy, the small and meek. Who defeated the power of Mordor and saved Middle Earth? It was the hobbits, the smallest and of all the inhabitants of Middle Earth. And from the Bible, who defeated the giant warrior Goliath? It was a little boy named David with a tiny pebble from the river. And who will inherit the earth? Is it the strong and the rude and the most powerful military? No, it is the meek. Why? See, although the candle appears to be no match for the power of darkness, as usual, appearances deceive. The power is in the light. We know that. The power is in the light. Why? Because all there is the light of God. That's all there is. And the darkness in the world, or perhaps I should say the appearance of darkness in the world, is simply the light of God wearing a mask for the purpose of having a play of light and dark on the stage of our lives. How would we ever find the power within us if there were not Goliath in front of us? How would we find the power and the light and the courage and the strength within us if we were not faced with the Red Sea? But the story, the quest, the adventure, that's the story of our lives. We all knew that Dorothy was going to get the broomstick and defeat the Wicked Witch. We knew that. We all knew that Frodo was going to throw the ring into the fire and defeat the power of Mordor. We all knew that. But how it happened was the story. How it happened was the point. How it happened was the play of light and dark. Now, we all know how the story is going to end. Okay? We all know the ending of the play. Spoiler alert, the darkness is defeated and the light's triumphant. Okay? That's the end of the story, regardless of the tragedy, regardless of the appearance of sorrow and loss and humiliation and defeat. The darkness is defeated and the light is triumphant. Okay, that's the end of the story. And since we know how the play ends, the only thing that matters then is how we get there. The getting there is our spiritual path. The getting there is all that matters. Now, speaking of spiritual path, let's say, for example, you're to stand out in front of Walmart East out there in East Main, and you're going to ask people, what is your spiritual path? Okay. Said, well, every day I say my affirmations and I try to be positive. Okay, well, what's your spiritual path? Well, I believe in being kind to animals and helping my neighbor. Said, okay, well, that's nice. Well, what's your spiritual path? Well, I do yoga and I light a candle and I meditate. Said, okay, all of that and far more. All of it's valid as far as it goes. Okay, it's all valid. It'll all help to get you there as far as it goes. But let me tell you something, the only real spiritual path, okay, listen, the only real spiritual path is in defeating the darkness within us. To say the affirmations or go to church or read the Bible or Course in Miracles or light the candle and do the yoga, that's fine. But it must all be ultimately for the purpose of identifying and defeating the darkness that is within us. That's the spiritual path. You think about it, the rabbi from Nazareth, think about it. The rabbi from Nazareth did not ask us to worship him. He most certainly did not ask us to make statues of him so we could kiss his wooden toes. All right. He wanted us to follow his teaching so that we could identify the ego and defeat the darkness within us. Okay. Now listen, here's the thing. If your spiritual path, whatever it is, if your spiritual path is not empowering you to identify and defeat the darkness within, then it's not really a spiritual path, it's entertainment. All right? If your spiritual path is not guiding you to identify your ego and giving you the courage and the guidance to defeat that darkness, then it's not really a spiritual path or a spiritual practice. It's really just entertainment. All right? Now, let's be clear. Let's back up. The darkness within us is our ego. Okay? It is all of our fear. It is the source of our jealousy and our judgment and our anger and our rage and our addiction and our hatred and our bigotry. The ego within us is the obstacle that is in front of us. An obstacle in front of you, it's ego. Okay? It is the addiction. It is the fear. It is the procrastination. It is the serpent. Okay? And all of our spiritual energy needs to be directed toward identifying that darkness, calling it by name, and defeating it so that we can share our light with the world. Now, how are we going to do that? Okay? How do we invoke the God of war within us? Well, as usual, let's look at Genesis chapter 3. Okay, Genesis chapter 3 is very familiar. We're not going to read it all. I just want to tell it to you in kind of a humorous way. All right. Genesis chapter 3. Serpent says to Eve, "Woo, honey, that fruit over there looks fantastic. How come y'all never eat that?" And Eve says, oh, no. God said, y'all eat whatever y'all want, but leave that tree alone. And the serpent says to Eve, seriously? No, for real? He told you that? Oh, good heavens. He knew that in the moment y'all eat that fruit, y'all will become like God and you will know good and evil. And Eve says, oh, we could become like God. Well, that's a good thing. And so she eats the fruit and she's overwhelmed with the light of knowledge. And while she's tripping on it, she says, Adam, you got to try this. And he does. And now they're both tripping. And they start to come off the stoner. And he says, oh, I don't think we should have done that. God's going to be so mad. And you know the story. God says to Adam, dude, seriously? I told y'all not to eat it and y'all did. And Adam says, not my fault. Not my fault. I'm the victim here. Okay? It was Eve. She told me to eat it and I did. And God says to Eve, sweetie, seriously? I told y'all not to eat it, and so y'all did. And Eve says, oh, not my fault. Oh, no, I'm the victim here. It was the snake. The snake said to eat it, and I did. And then God says to the snake, yeah, I should have known it was you. I'll deal with you later. This very familiar story hides an extraordinary spiritual teaching. There's so much meaning here. Now listen, here it is. As we go forth on our spiritual path, okay, we can go in one of two ways. We got options. We can go in one of two ways. Our play of light and darkness offers us the choice of two starring roles. We can go forward as the creator in our lives, okay? We can go forward as the creator in our lives, or we can go forward as the victim of life. Okay, those are your choices. Adam and Eve claimed to be victims. We're victims here. Somebody else has the power. Somebody else is pulling the strings. I'm the victim. It's not my fault. I'm helpless. And as soon as we assert that we're helpless victims of fate, or we're victims of the environment, or we're victims of our DNA, or we're victims of the economy, or we're victims of whoever's in the White House this week, or whatever, we're giving power to the darkness of our ego. Okay. To defeat the darkness, here's the key. You know those escape rooms? You ever heard of an escape room? You go in the room and they lock you in. You have to solve puzzles in order to get the key to get out. You've heard of those? I don't do those. But listen. Here's the key. Here's the key to the escape room. To defeat the darkness, okay? To defeat the darkness within us, we must take responsibility for everything in our lives. All right? Everything. If it's in your life, if it's in your story, then it's part of your play, you wrote it in. You wrote it. Okay? So take responsibility for it. That's the key. That gives us the key to the escape room. You say, well, some of the stuff in my life I don't like. Say, okay, that's good. That's good. That's okay. Because if there's if there's stuff in your life that you don't like, that's even more reason to take responsibility for it. Because here's the thing. You're either responsible for it or you're a victim of it. Okay? Those are the options. You're responsible for it or you're a victim of it. Genesis 3, chapter 3, Adam and Eve never took responsibility for their actions. They never took responsibility for their lives. They said, we are victims. So we're either responsible or we're victims. When we take responsibility, then we become creators in our lives. All right? Because here's the thing, we can change whatever we're responsible for. Okay? Okay? If we're responsible for the storyline in the play, we can change it. But if we're the victim of the storyline, then it's not possible to change it. Regardless of how many affirmations we say, regardless of how many butterflies we visualize, to be the creator is to be responsible for creation. And it doesn't do any good to plaster affirmations and positive platitudes on top of it. To be the creator in our lives is to take responsibility for everything that we have created. To turn the darkness to light, okay, which is where we started. To turn the darkness to light begins by taking responsibility for the darkness in our lives. This is the simple, and listen, here's the thing. This is the simple spiritual teaching behind the animal sacrifices, you know, that are discussed in such excruciating detail in the book of Leviticus. Each animal sacrifice represented an aspect of the darkness of ego. Okay, that's what it means. And when the people had to bring a lamb or a goat or a ram or a bull to the tabernacle and turn it over to the priest, it made them responsible. It taught them cause and effect, for one thing, and it made them responsible for the darkness in their lives. It made them responsible for the storyline that they had created. See, when we become responsible for what we've created, we turn the darkness inside out. The lights come on, the actors take off their masks, and we see that it was love and it was light all along. But we had to find out for ourselves. The God of war is revealed as the God of love. But first we have to fight the war within. Now, We're not muted, are we?
Just a second.
Are we still there? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. All right. I love technology when it works. The ending is already written. The light wins. Simple. But how we get there is the essence of our spiritual path. We can go as the victor. We can go as the victim. The key to the escape room is in taking responsibility for everything in our lives. Every person, every event has come to show us how well or how poorly we're dealing with our ego victim consciousness. And when we can look at a person, we can look at an event, we can look at an encounter, we say, I love you. Okay, I love you. I created you. I love you. There's nothing to forgive because nothing was ever hurt. We're all wearing masks and playing a role in a play of light and dark on the stage of my life. We come to that very simple step. How simple is that? Then we come to power. We've lifted our spiritual path to a path of genuine enlightenment and genuine miracles. The light within us seems small, but it's more than enough to defeat the darkness within us. This is our true spiritual path. This is the path of becoming the creator. This is the path of light and miracles and elevation. El na rifana la. El na rifana la. Be conquerors, be victorious in the light. And I do love you so much. And thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this healing and elevation with all of you.
Thank you, Brother Mark. Thank you so much. What an elevating, uplifting message that we had today. Explanation for a lot of things. Okay, so, all right, I'd like to open it up right now to anyone who would like to ask Mark a question or make a comment or interact with him. Just unmute and go for it.
Mark, I loved that. I thought that was awesome, and I love your interpretation of the Bible. Makes it so much more interesting than the way it's actually written. But thank you for reminding me that no matter how small my light is, it can still dispel the darkness. And all I need to do is remember that. All I need to do is remember that I can. And I can forgive myself when I do something that my ego thinks is stupid or small or wrong. So your wisdom is always appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
And this is Joyce, and I too enjoyed it and his story. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
I'm good. You're good. So yeah, you are good. So, so there you have it. But I enjoyed it too, and the way you came about it and everything's just pretty mind blowing. So I loved it, and thank you very much for changing up and doing and coming to the table today to do our service.
More than welcome.
Okay, thanks.
Mark, Cynthia here.
Hi,
This
Cynthia.
talk was one of my favorites of yours.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I worried about it.
It was right up there to the top.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You want it?
Yeah, Mark, you need never worry about that. Just showing us that showing me that I am also responsible for the light when I thought I was only responsible for the opposite a long time ago. It's just the message I needed today.
Well, good. It is pretty simple.
Yeah, I like finding that in the Bible. It's for real. Thank you.
Super.
Oops.
There we
Thank
go.
you, Mark. This is Carol.
Hi,
I
Carol.
always enjoy your talks, and that was so interesting. I know we'll discuss it after we go off, the family.
Okay, good. That's a good
Thank
thing.
you. Mhm. Come and visit. Keep telling you. Yes.
We'll discuss that another time. Okay. I'm serious. We'll discuss that another time.
Okay, great.
Yeah, maybe someday we'll fly him out here for a sermon.
Oh, wow, that'd be good.
Yep.
Yes.
We're gonna use your personal jet.
I would love it, yes.
As soon as you get it.
Volunteer.
As soon as you get it.
As soon as I got it.
You know, Mark, one of the insights
Well, there you are.
I think I picked up with what you were saying, which I totally agree with, especially from course material and whatnot, is the recognition that there is a darkness and to bring that darkness to the light, whereas compared to trying to bring the light to the darkness, that's just making that darkness, affirming the darkness is real, you know, to try to bring a truth to it from that perspective, but to bring the darkness into the light, to bring falseness into the truth, there it can be analyzed and there it can be going, oh, you're just a player in the play, you know, but
Yes.
it's trying to come from the other perspective of going, oh, these characters are real and I got to go disprove them. I mean, it's kind of just maybe seems a simple, excuse me, a simple shift, but I found it to be very profound. And I thought when you were talking about at the very first of your talk, you know, that you were seeing everything out there in clarification and in clarity.
Yes.
Everybody was
Yes.
a player, and it's a good thing.
Yes.
That was a brilliant insight. Thank you so much. I so enjoyed that.
Good. Thank you.
Mark, this is Bill Clark. I expected Mike to come back up with the observation that from the course that everything is either an expression of love or a cry for love. And I think your analogy fits in exactly the same. That expression of love is when you take the responsibility and move forward and do the right thing. And the cry for love is when I am the victim. And so we have many different paths, many different philosophies, but they all really boil down to the same thing.
It does indeed. And what's more victim-like than a cry for love?
Exactly.
And by the way, thank you for the book, Mark. I devoured it.
Ha ha ha. I knew you would.
I have some questions for you too. We'll talk about that. It was wonderful. Thank you so much. It was a fun read.
Well, thank you once again, Mark. We love it. We loved your message. We love you, and we miss you, and wish you could be with us all the time. But you can be with us, sporadically on Zoom, and that's really a miracle. We intend to continue this practice indefinitely.
Okay.
Because there's very little cost associated with it. It's a lot less than having personal jets fly all over the country and bring people here. But since we don't have a jet, we can do this, and it's not as good, but it is really good. Does anyone else have anything that they want to tell Mark or say to Mark? Okay, we thank you again, Mark, and we will have you again in the rotation of speakers. I don't know, I don't have the list in front of me, but I know that we will hear from you again before too long. So.
Okay. Oh, then let me. That's fine. Just say when. And I'll have to cut out real quickly afterwards. Was my son is waiting to use this laptop computer for homework.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Margaret, do you have another song, or that was it? You do? Okay. Margaret is going to play music for us once again. Yeah. So she's coming to the piano.
So I'm going to ask for Steve's help here.
Uh-oh. You're not asking for my vocal cords.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
so we're gonna do, oh. There. I've got Peace Like a River, and then we're gonna sing it on the fourth verse. I've got Peace Like a River.
Sing
I've
all
got
three of
Love
them.
Like a Fountain.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's my favorite version of it.
okay. All right. I've got Peace Like a River,
What number is that?
356.
There we go. Well, whenever she starts.
Okay.
I have a book open. Which page is it?
356.
I know this one by heart. Good.
Good. Okay. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got All right. Thank you, Margaret and Steve. There we go. Okay, I'd like to remind all the board members and anyone else who wants to participate in our board meeting to hang around after we close, and we'll have our meeting about 15 minutes later. Just don't get lost. Stick around. And okay, to reiterate again, we are going to have a solstice celebration on the 21st of June, and it will be at the Kiwanis Park on 30th Street. It will be a potluck. Pardon? Yeah, we're going to do an offering. Will be if you could get the thing. It's a potluck only. We will have, Fred will play music by himself without his band, and it starts at 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock, right? About 4 hours worth. Probably won't, but we have the park reserved for 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock on that evening. So, saw some people come in. Bob is here. And Bob Bryant. How are you today, Bob? Here.
Actually wonderful. Thank you for asking, Ron.
Well, that's great. Bob is battling with cancer, and I think he's fighting it to a standstill, aren't you, Bob?
Pardon me?
I said you're fighting it to a standstill. It's not gaining on you now, is it?
Oh, I think it's, I'm gonna be the winner. That's just the way it is.
There you go. There you go.
One way or the other. So, and I missed who you were talking about the first part there, Ron. Who had passed that you knew in Baton Rouge?
My sister, Priscilla.
Oh, she did.
Priscilla.
Okay.
She
Oh,
she finally got
Mike.
healed, and she figured out how to get out of that old broken body.
there you go. My condolences.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you. Are there any other announcements? Okay. Then let us pray. Father, Mother God, we thank you for this opportunity to come together, to share in love and light these principles that we hold dear. Thank you for Brother Mark, who comes and brings these words of wisdom to us. I ask that you would bless his life as you would bless the lives of all within our hearing. We thank you for our first responders, for those people who put on a uniform and put themselves in harm's way for our protection. We ask that you would bless them and keep them safe. We ask that you would guide us as we go on this next week and to keep us and protect us. In the name of Christ consciousness, namaste. So, okay, I'm going to stop the recording now, and we don't have to go away. We can just